pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All five present.
All five present, 7 p.m. start. So we can kick off.
We will move on to approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Any public comment or questions related to non-agenda items? Come on up to the podium, please, sir. Very formal.
I know, I'm just gonna real fast to tell you. I have a letter that I wanted to share with the board members and the superintendent. And I'd like to speak about it briefly, about something we're all reading over it. This is in regards to discussion last board meeting about goes back to the Missoula Children's Theater event. It was hosted by the district this last fall, and the decision not to allow non-rural students here at decision not to allow non-rural students to take part in Missoula Children's Theater. So after the board meeting last month, I talked to Mr. Sargent and Ms. Moore, and I got some more information on how that decision came about. In short, it sounds like there were some families who felt that their kids did not have as much opportunity as they could have to take part in that in the MCT, and that's why the decision was made to not allow homeschoolers and private schools kids take part. I am a little bit confused through my discussions about how this is codified in the school policy and handbooks. My understanding, it has something to do with the difference between co-curricular and extracurricular. I talked to Mr. Sarding, he said there's not a whole lot of difference other than it's just how these activities are classified. When I talked to Ms. Moore, she said that she was directed to put some language in elementary school's handbook this last summer that specifically said non-enrolled students were allowed to do co-curricular activities. And this is all outlined in my letter. I even provided an excerpt from some of the policy so you can see specifically what was added. Like I said, the policy that was created around this is a little bit confusing to me. And I do go into detail with how that is. But when it comes down to it, I'm concerned that we aren't allowing non-enrolled students to participate in all activities here. And, you know, because of state law, they're allowed to participate in sports, which I guess is considered extracurricular activity. But it doesn't make sense to me that they should be allowed to participate in co-curricular activities. Like I said before in the last meeting, many of these kids come in and out of public schools for various reasons. My own kids have had the privilege of being in public school, private school, and homeschool. And I felt that was all a very valuable experience for them. And I feel that it's a valuable experience for our kids who are just in public school to have interactions with kids from homeschools and private school settings. You know, diversity is very important. I feel that this policy is discriminating against the kids in our community who have either chose to be homeschooled or private school or don't have that choice. Like I said, it goes back to, you know, I feel like everybody has their own context. And everybody's kind of an individual in this case. So I would really appreciate if the board would read through this. And my recommendation at the end is to remove that language from the elementary school handbook, which is the only place that I could find it. If it is somewhere else, I would like that removed as well. And then also, just maybe we can put something in the, let's see, district policy 3210. I think that's the equal access to education policy. That has to do with allowing homeschoolers and private schoolers to take part in extracurricular activities. Maybe we can add something there that allows them to participate in co-curricular activities as well. Because yeah, when it comes down to it, I feel that this school and our district is a representation of our community. And it just, it upsets me. It doesn't feel right that that this decision was made to just exclude those individuals. So, like I said, I don't really have anything else to say. I'd like to see this perhaps brought up at the next board meeting as an issue. If it does require voting, I don't know. Do you have any questions in the meantime? Okay. Well, my contact info is on the top of the letter. Well, at least my phone number and address is. My email address is just my first name dot last name @gmail.com. I would stick around and have a discussion with anybody who would like it, but I'm feeling like garbage, so I'm gonna go home. But thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Any other public comment or questions related to non-agenda items? Okay. To the consent agenda. Motion on that. Everybody's ready? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got them all.
Okay.
Unanimous, Jeff.
Mary, JP, you're blocking. Okay, we will move on to presentations, schedule for school group presentations.
So each year, students from each school present to the board as part of our annual goals. So we just want to let everyone know that March will be elementary, April middle school, and May high school.
Nice to talk to those. All right, move on to tribal education.
Miranda Berlin is here. Those of you that don't know Miranda, she just has some information on getting IEC JOM training started. When and where to be announced. When we kind of have an idea, but where, not just yet. But for those of you that don't know Miranda, this is Miranda from
Hello,
Tribal Ed.
everybody. So as Jason mentioned, my name is Miranda Berland. I work with the Tribal Education Department up in Pablo. I am currently the Higher Education Scholarship Officer, but I also am one of our managers there that oversee our education advocates that are in the schools throughout the reservation. So what I wanted to report on, because I noticed on your guys' school board agenda, like a lot of them across the reservation in our schools, there's always an IEC report. And we have not had an active IEC in St. Ignatius for about since around COVID. I mean, and that's kind of across the board. So our department has been working on getting the IEC, the Indian Education Parent Committee together. So we've been making recruitment efforts, and it sounds like we are starting to get some interest out of some St. Ignatius folks. So we've got some policy that we have to follow with parents, like they have to do a background check, things like that, because they're going to be engaged with students. And then they're under the tribal ed department. We oversee that in the budget. So we'll be holding an IEC Johnson O'Malley JOM parent training coming up on February 2nd, which is a Friday from 10 to 2. And that will be held at the Ronan Indian Senior Center, which is the Marvin Camel building, which we used to tell people went across from Dairy Queen. So as we're doing that, we want to make sure as tribal ed and my role as supervising our staff that work with the IEC committee specifically, that we're going to be at the school board presenting, even if there is not an active IEC, we'll make sure you guys are getting updates on the Indian education parent committees of what they're doing, what's planned, and things like that impacting the students here at St. Ignatius. Any questions? Okay, and Jason and Adam know how to get a hold of me, so if you guys have any questions or need any additional information, I'd be more than happy to send it.
Thank you,
Thank
Miranda.
you, guys.
Okay, no correspondence, no old business. Move on to board preparation and planning and board governance and financial calendar.
On pace.
No updates. Okay. Annual goals update.
January goals are updated. I've added quite a few items this month, but all up to date.
Okay.
Just a question, would the tabled item be old business? How does that work? I mean,
Which one?
we just tabled that on the electric bus, third party.
Because it never came to, we had a meeting that it was dropped. Just
So
whether or
does
not it
any
needs to
board
be
action have
official.
to take place to, if it just doesn't go on and if nobody takes it off the table, it's just dead?
It's dead. There is no grant, so we can't approve a grant that's not pursued.
Anything else? All right, we'll move on to new business, 10.01 school board election resolution.
All right, every year we have to present this to the county, X amount of days beforehand. So we run it in January. I believe we have by the end of February to get this in, for the county to run our elections. Our elections are small enough that the mail ballot election is the best way for us to move forward versus the manpower to hire and have an election in-house. So that's been the suggestion for the smaller districts throughout my time. It's definitely a lot easier for us, and all the tabulation is third party. So that is the motion that's on the table for the May 7th, 2024 mail ballot election.
Make the motion that the St. Ignatius School District employee approves the trustee election on May 7th, 2024 by mail ballot if there are no candidates and there are positions to be filled. If not, trustees will be seated by acclamation.
I'll second that.
And moved and seconded, any discussion?
Will there won't be like the primary for the going on at the same time?
No, I don't believe that the dates.
Because that's
match up.
June, that's usually June.
Yeah, we did get a request for that, and also I believe we got a request for next November already.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know,
Yeah, that makes sense.
from the county, but it doesn't, I don't believe that it matches up at this time. I believe that May 7th is only local elections.
I know this is about the election, but what is the deadline to get anybody who's
Off the top of my
interested?
head, I'm supposed to
March
know this.
20.
It's the end of March, I believe. It's like March 27th,
Something
right
like that.
around in there. It's that last week. Rochelle, I told you on the other day, if you recall.
I don't, that's why I just.
I know it's right around-
21st, March 27th.
Yeah.
It's in that time, and I can confirm that to anybody who, has that question. It's stated in policy as like 90 days prior to, but not more than 110 days before. So you have to figure out the math of that window. And I've got it on it.
March 28th.
March 28th, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Okay.
Okay, on to 10.02, coaching recommendations. Looks like middle school basketball and max softball assistant coach.
As recommended by Stuart Grant, middle school basketball coaches Cecilia Cascella, Lucas Torrance, and Max softball assistant coach Shelby Shrouds. Schwartz, sorry.
Give it, Sean.
I'll make the motion to recommend middle school basketball coaches, Cease Cascella, Lucas Vance, and Max softball assistant coach Shelby Shades.
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is these still partially funded from other schools for assistance, or would this be covered?
I think Arlee's doing it. Are they not, they're not hiring a coach, Arlee?
Yes, they're gonna do the same, so effectively it'll be the same paid coaching staff that we've had in the past. Head coach and assistant paid here, and then effectively a transportation coordinator for the Arlee kids paid for by Arlee. We've always paid a head and assistant, and then recently.
But are they paying a coach like they have in the past, or is it just gonna be transportation?
It will also be somebody who we use on the
To
coaching
help.
staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes.
I think they have to legally advertise it as assistant coach, not a transportation. I don't know, that's not our school, but that's what they've done.
It was a sort of combo position because Arlee doesn't allow the kids to travel on their own. So they need some way to get them up here for practice. So having somebody there that could act as a coach and do the driving worked well for them and worked really well for us. So that's
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Move on to 2.03, employment recommendations. Something in the kitchen.
Wendy Weeder would like to recommend Isaiah Nasatuia to work in the kitchen.
I'll make the motion to hire Isaiah Nasatuia to work in the kitchen.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, moved on to 10.04, refreshment vendor contract open.
So recommending opening bids for vendor contract, last go, from 98 to 2018 was, 15,000 for the first year and 1,500 annually for the next 10 years, total of 30,000 over 10 years. Our last bid, that's up in June was Coke, which was 9,000 up front over 8-year contract with 200 in product donation annually. So, and prior to that was close to 15,000 a year when we actually had sodas in the student machines. When that left, so did a lot of the revenue, but we need to open it up again. It could be 7 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, depending on bids, but we just need permission from the board to open those, that bidding process up with whatever vendors are interested in bidding for the St. Ignatius School District.
Is that getting posted? Is that how you're gonna post your bids?
We'll probably
Put that-
post in the
I mean, I know
papers
you
and
do.
contact the bigger companies, any companies that we're aware of that do bid, but we'll have to put something in the paper, yes.
Is the concession stand committed to whoever?
Yes, and they have, and so our concession stand is privately run. We used to get a small percent of the profits with that. When we went to this, they basically had to buy the product from Coke at a higher price than they could get from Costco, for example. So it did, cost our person that runs our concessions. So we no longer charge, we basically get the contract money from Coke, Pepsi, whoever is the player, but not revenue off the concessions.
I make the motion to recommend opening bids for the mega contract for the next 7 to 10 years. starting July 1st, 2024. Open for bids if approved January 2024.
I'll second that. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, moves on to 10.05, shop addition approval.
So recommending the shop addition plan move forward with the acceptance of the engineering quote and bid opening for as soon as possible. I have attached a quote from Slate, which we've been waiting on for the past couple months to get estimation on their cost. Their scope is included in the quote. The total amount, the most that it'll cost us is $29,400. And visiting with Jacob, if we're willing to do the legwork, like we have in the past for a lot of the projects, that it will cost much less than that, depending on how often he has to come over. How often, what we can do here with the project to move it along with as little involvement with Slate as possible. That cost will go way down. He believes at least half if we can do the legwork, but he's not going, we won't know if we run into trouble and it ends up costing more. That's the most it'll cost us, but he believes he can do it for much less than that amount. The other points, like I said, if we can do the legwork, we'll save money there, which I'm fully confident we can do. We'll plan on using the siding from the gym expansion, which will also save us some money. We'll plan on framing in the garage door, just like we did for the gym expansion. If we ever decide to put in a lift and put the automotive in there, we can do that. We won't have a garage door, but we can have it framed and ready to go. We will have to do fire suppression, and we will have to do insulation of the interior walls, lighting, heating, all of that. The fire suppression is a cost that we'll need, obviously, heat and electric for to keep it warm so they don't freeze in there, and the expense there will go up. But we're hoping that we can get a bid for around 100 per square foot, hopefully no more than 200, which would mean the cost estimate between 100,000 and 200,000. If the bid comes in at 430 a square foot, like it did in the last quote that we turned down at 430,000, I believe, was the amount, the last bid for the expansion, which was outrageous. I think we're going to be able to save, half of what that amount was, and hopefully come in between 100 and 200 a square foot. Slabs in, that was 20,000. The rest is a go, depending on the bids and your approval.
I'll make a motion to recommend the shop addition plan and move forward with acceptance of engineering quote and bid opening for as soon as possible.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
It'll be flexible because originally it was kind of dry storage, and then the second request was he's wanting a room to finish projects in. Is that kind of, and that could be used to finish projects, but the big door would be for down the road, flexibility for a lift.
Yeah.
But now, and I can kind of see and understand why not wanting a lift would be, they take up a lot of room, take up basically the whole room.
Yeah, and student interest.
Yeah.
Right now, we have small engines, which suffices some of the mechanic parts of it, but we haven't been able to get enough students interested in auto mechanics. So if we get, down the road, hopefully that's a really high need CTE area. I know the Ford dealership, has called before, said, we will help you with anything you need to get more mechanics, but we just don't have the student interest right now. to
Do
offer
they
that
ever
class.
like work release where they would bring a student in for like 2 hours the senior year and
We
work
do
right along?
job shadowing, and part of their 40 hours for their senior project, they can go and use those hours following job shadowing as part of their senior projects. They do that, yeah, and they do the job fairs. They do, the day of job shadows where they go out to
There's
areas
no
of
really work
interest.
release type.
We don't. We did that in the past, and we just don't have enough jobs available here locally to be able to go for an hour and come back. I mean, they were basically, there's 4 or 5 businesses that they could really go to, but it didn't hit all of
You
the
can't
areas
travel.
that we could
Brings up too
get
much time.
students to, and it ended up being very hard to track those students for that time, and having the available jobs to visit for that 1 hour, by the time they get there, half hour really, to get anywhere. And so we don't have that, but if there's students that, want to use their time to visit jobs, they can use that for their hours for their senior project, which is required for them.
That's kind of off subject stuff, but that was good information.
Do we have a expiration on this quote? I mean, history's shown us we don't find bids real easy, but it's hard to find people to do the work. So, I mean, point in question, the concrete slab took forever because we couldn't find anybody to do it. So how do we have a deadline to get a bid on this?
And that's what tonight is, if you approve it, the bid's gonna open as soon as Jacob can get the permits and all of the quote work done for the state. And then he'll be able to open it up as soon as possible. And it will be up to us how long we open it up for, because we'll have to set a bid opening date, and that'll be set with Jacob. He's confident right now. Things have slowed down somewhat. He's definitely has some people in mind that would be interested in probably doing this job, and felt like we would be able to find a contractor. But you don't know until you.
That's at least positive.
That's an unknown that we won't know until we get it moved forward. Yeah.
And I think having Slate and Jacob being involved for basically from the beginning, it would be nice because they know what's next to it and everything.
And they're willing to work with this, and that's what he said. He said, I can't tell you it's gonna, how cheap I can do it, but he said, the plans have been done. There's a few adjustments that he has to make, but the work has really been done 3 times already. So it really is not going to be a whole lot, but he said, you never know until you dig into a project what the cost is going to be, depending on how the project goes. He said, knowing us and us knowing them, we feel like we can.
Being a public building, it needs to be engineered just
Right. Yeah, like water, I didn't expect us to have to add the, sprinkler system. That was right off the bat, the price went up when they said water. The fire suppression systems are expensive, and that was one thing
Jake will know where it is.
It's really up to the fire suppression people that put those in. They actually engineer what's needed, so he doesn't really even have to engineer that. It's up to fire codes what we'll need, which will just be an extension. I think it's just gonna, all you have to do is expand that current system out, just like, in the gym with the lighting and everything else. Just has to be, or the air circulation has to be, that suppression system has to be extended.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of moving forward with the plan? Okay, moves on to 10.06, annual superintendent evaluation review contract extension. We do have a quorum pursuant to 2-3-203 MCA. Have determined that the individual's right to privacy outweighs the public's right to know. And I declare the meeting closed at 7:30.
We don't have to close it. I'd actually prefer it to be open for transparency and legal reasons. I want to just keep it open and have the recording
Okay, so
continue.
you are going to defer. Of course, close. So you have waived your right to a closed session. Okay.
Ready?
Whenever you are.
So, you can go through superintendent evaluation. There's one, everybody has a copy of it in front of them. I would like to point out anything with needs improvement or unacceptable ratings should be supported with written explanation. Constructive criticism is always welcome. This is the summative of all 5 board members. So I do want to go through any areas of improvement or unacceptable for me to be able to improve what I do and how I do it. So we'll dig in. Communication keeps the board adequately informed of activities, progress, and problems. There was 2 proficient, 2 exceed job requirements, and 1 that felt needs improvement. So we'll just go through these each one at a time. Communication or needs improvement. I just need to know from that individual what I can do to improve my work with communication. Specifics, examples, rationale for what I need to improve upon for communication.
I like this student-led conference idea. Since this was an anonymous survey, I'd like to have kind of a superintendent-led. Is there anything that you think that you could do to improve communications, or you're good with how things are going?
That's up to you.
You have nothing, I only have concern.
Yeah. So what would you like to see? An example of how to improve communication.
I just have concern.
No examples or
No.
specifics, rationale. I think. Okay. All right. So recommendations.
I got one quick one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a concern. I think it's, it's a hard line of balancing. You get multiple issues and concerns brought to you on a monthly basis. And I know you can't bring up every one of those at every board meeting. The Micah situation here with how that decision making and how it happened, or that communication you're having. Some of these bigger ones like that, or ones that are coming up and consistent. Maybe just a quick heads up to us on some situations of those. I know you deal with a lot of issues per month, and you do a great job at bringing to attention what ones are pertinent and need to be prioritized. Like the one tonight, though, if we can just get a heads up or a little bit more background, knowing what's going on, There probably wasn't very many questions from the board members tonight, because we need to do some digging into, back finding of why that issue, how that issue was brought up and resolved, and how it was put in the handbook, and when, look at how we can do to resolve it, or what we can do to dig into that going forward. But I think you do a great job at prioritizing what needs to come to us. Sure.
And that's a policy call. We'll review policies, handbooks in June. So that'll come up. We did have, a conversation. I thought things, were answered, but apparently there isn't, so we'll keep working on it. Anything else? Okay, recommendation facilitates the decision-making process for the board by making sound recommendations for board action. We had 3 exceed job requirements, 1 proficient, and 1 needs improvement. So again, I just open it up for specifics, examples, or rationale for things that I can do better for recommendations to the board.
I think I'm down for myself. I think this summer, it might have been July, August, we presented the new communications portal that kind of launched and kind of got some
Rooms?
rooms.
Mhm.
People saying, I didn't know about it when it came through my email. And wasn't sure exactly what it was. It wasn't explained to me necessarily what it was, but it kind of just surfaced and then it kind of just went away and then it kind of surfaced back up again. And I'm not entirely sure what exactly it was. I don't think it wasn't anything on my radar enough that I felt the need to come ask about it, but I did get some feedback kind of through our student-led conferences. That there was some kind of through the school, there was some just misunderstandings.
Yeah, it's going to take us all year to get rooms in. It's in now, but it's going to take us moving from Facebook to rooms and from all the other places that, teams, classes. What's the elementary they use? Dojo?
Press Dojo. Well,
Dojo?
we've all published rooms. We're moving by March.
Okay.
So making that transition is going to be difficult. People
So
are used to
everybody on
going
the
to
same platform?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a different platform. It's through our website. So Rooms is completely through our website, where Dojo and Facebook obviously aren't. And it's open to people to make comments about, whatever is out there. And Rooms will give us the opportunity to control the communication directly with parents, teachers, administration, information sharing directly with parents in a much safer place to do so. But it's not completely there. We're getting there, but it's going to take us all year to get that completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My big one on this one was the recommendations on how the ESRM monies were spent. It's a matter of record that I was against the expansion of the gym. And I thought the tennis court, amount of funds that went towards the tennis court were, they came in wanting, and yet it came all out of our pocket there. And I just think that was just the big one that sent me to that spot that I ended up.
Yeah, that tennis courts became one of the most important things in the community one night. But it wasn't. That ended up, and these are board decisions.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else on that one? Things that I can do better?
No, I think for the most part, when you make a recommendation to the board, you take a pretty good deep dive into the situation and show us examples of how the decision got to made to that recommendation. So I think
That's good. Okay, responsiveness follows up on problems and issues brought to his attention. Again, 2 exceed, 2 proficient, and 1 needs improvement. So I'd open it up again to, the one that needs improvement on responsiveness. I'm following up on problems and issues brought to my attention. How can I do better? Or examples of when I don't.
Well, not that I have, we've always made decisions for self-available to my stuff, and that's something I appreciate. It kind of goes with responsiveness and receptiveness.
batteries on that.
And yeah, I'm just looking for, again, if there's, the needs improvement, is there any examples? If it's on here, I do need to know, like I said before, some sort of supported evidence of when I'm not responsive. If there are specifics or examples I haven't been. All right, receptiveness is receptive to board member ideas and suggestions. 3 proficient, 1 exceeds. Again, 1 that needs improvement. This may be, an area, but again, 1 needs improvement. I just need to know how I can be more receptive to the board ideas and suggestions and what I need to do to improve.
That was probably me, probably goes along the same lines as I spoke on about the ESSER money.
ESSER money is a
probably
board
as strong
decision
as- Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
What specifically for me, receptive wise?
You didn't go along with my idea on the ESSER there. And really, it wasn't my idea. I thought you had the committee meet, come up with some good ideas, and I thought that was just to fulfill the requirement of the ESSER money that you had some community input, because I really don't think that group that was put together came up with the idea of knocking out the new gym wall and adding bleachers. And if you remember that process.
That was just me. That's what you're saying?
Well, it wasn't the group that came together with some ideas.
Oh, wasn't just my
No, I'm sure there was
other people.
Yeah.
I just really hope so.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Well, I just want to add that you and I haven't always been on the same page, but you'll at least listen to my idea and you'll consider them, and then we usually talk about it and we either move forward or we don't move forward, or if it's something that we need seem worthy of a board vote. At least we brought a lot of things to other people's attention through the years of just things that probably need to be addressed, and if it doesn't, then if you don't think it's board worthy, then we don't put it this far. So I thank you for taking care of that end of things too. So
It's advantageous to have board members that are involved and know what goes on here with kids in school, and best. So, and the community, and that's why you're here, right? So receptiveness, moving on. So decision-making ability, able to make constructive and decisive decisions. 3 proficient, 1 exceeds, and 1 needs improvement. So again, I guess I would ask decision-making ability. How can I improve on making constructive and decisive decisions? Or examples that I haven't.
I was gonna make any comment on this, and I think it kind of ties to 1 ahead. If I jump ahead, we've got 100% exceeds job requirements on tenacity. Sometimes I think we can jump and make decisions quickly, and that there's the good of just being able to jump in there and just make the decisions just to get things moving forward. I think that's good. I think sometimes decisions can be made too quickly without including others. Not that I have any specific examples right off the heads. Just over my years of being here, and And it's a get it done attitude, and that's.
And you would know we're running a business, it isn't
Yeah,
always easy.
and I,
I'm not gonna make everybody happy.
So, and I don't put that down as a needs improvement, but it's just something I bring to your attention.
Thank you.
I probably had one of those that was down there a bit. And I think it's the same point I'll make on other spots there. Just the Education Nation has a better ring to it to me. Presents Bulldog Nation versus Bulldog Nation. And to me, I just think that there's just so much, and so much of your decisions are based on, athletics. And there's been people here comment as well. So it's just not me thinking that, but because it really, when it comes down to it, education's gonna last a lifetime, and there's things in sports and athletics, I'm a big, son of an AD, and sports have been a big part of my life and that, but I just think from your position, you need to present education ahead of athletics more often than you do.
And I would just point out,
Decisions.
yeah, of course, I would point out MBI was probably one of the most academic cultural systems in the state of Montana for 10 years. We were the first reservation to be platinum in MBI, which has nothing to do with athletics. For 3 years in a row, we were one of the first in the state to reach platinum. We were first in the state to reach platinum in all 3 schools, and had nothing to do with athletics. We were the number 1 in the state of Montana for 3 years running. Banners in the lobby. We are probably one of the best system schools in the state of Montana. And that's not me just saying it. That's 3 banners that say platinum for academics.
Yeah,
and
test
behavior.
scores is probably where I'm getting a lot of my.
We just changed it from athletics to test scores. Test scores, yes, that's across the state of Montana. Since COVID, everybody is down. But yes, we have a lot of work to do with athletics, or academics, sorry, and athletics. But academics, I said that all year. That's number 1 priority.
That should be.
It is.
I think looking at the question there, decision-making ability, I think your experience and your longevity within the school system gives you the ability to make that constructive and decisive decision on situations that come arise. And some of them may need to come to the board, some of it doesn't. It's the power given into your position to make some of those decisive decisions. And I think you do a fairly good job of that.
And I do wish MBI, MTSS doesn't do an evaluation. I wish they did, because I still would put our school up against any other school in the state of Montana when it comes to educational systems, academic, behavioral, culture, climate. I think we're the best, and I would put us up against any school locally or across the state. So hopefully MTSS will be able to give us an evaluation of that, and we can go back to hanging banners for behavior and academically responsive systems. Anything else on that one? Okay. Supervision, ability to monitor, assign, evaluate staff performance. This one was 80% proficient and 1 that needed improvement. So again, what can I do better to monitor, assign, and evaluate staff performance?
Looking at this one, the only thing I thought of right away is you called your own self out on it prior, of getting back into being more active into the teachers throughout the day, or the students and the programs going on. That's the only reason I didn't give you Exceed's job requirements. I think setting that goal for yourself shows you that there's room for improvement, and I think you're proficient at leading your staff and supervising them. But to take that next step, I think you called yourself out right. It's tying into the day-to-day grind.
And that's still an area of concern. I would still call myself out and understand that should come from everyone that, yeah, I do need to spend more time in the classrooms and with students. Agree 100%. That one needs to get better.
And I had a couple thoughts on this area, and when you kind of talked, and I thought you were heading in that direction as far as that key time right after school till 4 o'clock where you could be visiting and doing some things, and then you showed up out on the flag football field there. So that was kind of where I got one point. And then here we've talked about the maintenance, holding them accountable, and it's been going on, pretty much every year the same things come up, but there's only one person knows how to run the boiler, so it seems like it just goes on and on. So that was my other area that caused me to go down a little bit on that one.
And teachers are often, their contract day ends at 3:40 or a school day ends at 3:20. So that's 20 minutes that we have with teachers. Are you talking about after school? Yeah, we can't keep teachers here till 4.
No, but you were meeting with like administrators you talked about, and you have that time during. It's just, I think there's just
About 20 minutes. Flag football, I would, and I do think during the day getting out, but that's time with kids for me, and my free time that I feel is time well spent with kids.
When did practice start?
I started after volleyball practice once a week at 6 o'clock. It wasn't after school. Yeah. Other questions? Concerns? Budgeting effectively prepares, administers, monitors the budgets for which he is responsible. 2 exceeds, 2 proficient, and 1 unacceptable. So focusing obviously on unacceptable. Unacceptable is not okay. So what do I need to do budgeting wise that is acceptable? I've reported finance. I think again, we're probably one of the strongest schools in the state and getting things built and getting things done, and financially as sound as any district in the state of Montana. So unacceptable to me. I do need to know what is unacceptable, and for this one, I do need specifics, examples, and rationale.
In my opinion, this includes the board because we're the one approving the budget as well. So
I would just like to see you do more of the presenting so that we know that you are on top of this and got a full understanding. And the one thing I had a question about the bus depreciation fund, and you don't deal with that, but it seems like you should be knowledgeable of how the bus depreciation fund is used by other districts.
I know exactly how it's
Oh, you sure didn't come across that when we were
asking. Bus depreciation can be used for any amount of a new bus as it depreciates for 5 years. That amount is levied against the taxpayers. Probably for our district, 200 to 300,000 a year, and that money can go into transportation. It can go into safety, but most needs to be spending back into buying newer buses.
And the state money, how does that go along with the
General fund?
depreciation fund? This, is the depreciation fund reimbursed with state transportation money or county?
It's levied directly to the taxpayers. We've had superintendents that didn't understand the budget and spent $4.5 million in 2 years. So a superintendent does need to know budgeting. And if they don't, we wouldn't be in, we would be in a financial crisis. So I'm not sure on what specifically, feel I understand.
I would just like to see you present more, I guess.
Rather than Adam,
Yeah,
why would you like?
because that would tell me that you know more and you understand and you're on top of it instead of coming in from football practice and sitting there. And so was not a good look for me. And
I have something to interject there just a little bit. In the years that I've been clerk for the town, if somebody wants to know something about the budget, they come and ask me. They don't go ask the mayor. The mayor is the one that has to approve the budget. It's not supposed to get run it by him. He has input and stuff like that. And he understands the generalities, but if somebody has a question about the budget, they're gonna ask the clerk. A specific question about it and where stuff goes. And that's just.
Clerk works directly for you.
Yeah.
Adam doesn't work for me. He works for all of you. That's his job.
That is correct.
But if you'd like me to present his job to you instead of the person that works for you, I could do that.
I think that was a great job.
Thank you. It's one of my only times to be in front of you guys, so I appreciate that.
But I'll be happy to put on a show for you.
I put put you as Exceed's job because I know part of the job is hiring somebody that knows the heck. Mr. Huckluck does know what the heck he's doing. And most of my questions when I did come to you and ask you about budget questions, you answered them, or if you had very slightly needed more detail, Adam was right there to answer those. And I think we are one of the fewer schools, especially around here, that we're a year out in budgeting. We have enough foresight to be able to budget a year out. So I think us having that little bit of cushion, I should say, lack of words, but understanding that sometimes guaranteed monies may fluctuate. I think we do a great job of making sure we're operational for the year out.
That's been a good. When I took over the first year I was here, we were living off that year's budget, month to month, living month to month. We're a year ahead. So that's where we want to be, and that's where I expect us to stay. And we monitor that closely. That's what makes some of these other things very difficult because it is tighter. Without ESSER, it is now living off the general title and impact. So those are and our permissive mills. So those are all factors that have made budgeting. When people want things done right away, it does take time because we want to be able to give teachers. We start negotiations tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Decisions to spend money other places takes away from our ability to help our teachers. And there isn't a time in 30 years I've been doing this that we need to help our teachers more than buildings and things that I know we want, but it's a very difficult time when we can't afford to lose teachers, and we want to be able to move forward. But I'm confident that we're going to be able to do both. So, and we have been able to, and we're in a very, I guess, better than most districts, and I don't know the percentage, so I hate to even say, but I would say we're doing a better job than most. Looking at salaries for districts our size, we're right in the ballpark, but it is a big priority. So, budgeting is one of the more difficult jobs that I have, but we'll continue to do better. Okay.
Well, I think it's worth noting that, I know previous year, we were, I believe, 40% or then close to impact aid of the current year for salaries. I mean, it was pretty bleak. I mean, we've come a long ways. Like I said, we're a year out and we're, I don't know, we under 5% now and 10% close.
Yeah, I would say we're probably close to that 10% threshold of salaries and impact aid. And then it's going to just be depending on A and B how it moves forward, right? So,
But
we were half a year when we took over for Neil Easter and Bob Lewandowski. We had $500,000 in the bank, which was half a year of operational budget. So we had to turn some things around.
there was some tough decisions in that. So no, I think
And I think we're going to have to dip into impact aid, for salaries, but we can talk more about that at a later time. But that is something that we need to look at. Obviously, our goal is to keep completely out of it, but until we can get enrollment to bounce back, it's going to be something we need to consider, and it's a priority. So, okay, so budgeting. Let's move on to public relations. Actively seeks to inform the public regarding programs and promotes effective contacts between the district and the public it serves. Exhibits a warm, friendly, positive attitude when dealing with community members. 3 proficient, 1 exceeds, and 1 needs to improve. So, public relations, what can I do better? I will say the principals do a great job helping me, helping the school in public relations. The web presence, Facebook, those are all things that, have made public relations easier, but definitely always something we can improve upon.
Yeah, and I think public relations is a hard one anyway, because you never nail it. You can always, there's always room for growth. And that's, I think all of us sitting in this room today can all acknowledge that. Knowing that there's always that desire to grow and do better within public relations is, in my opinion, proficient, because it's when we think that we're killing it is when we're missing the mark. And you've never come across as, man, I if there was any place in my job that I could let up on, it's public relations. It's never come across in any of our conversations. So I think you're doing it.
Thank you. I guess from the person that goes, I need to improve, what can I do better? Nothing. Okay, technical competence. Has thorough knowledge and understanding of the profession and tries to improve competencies. 3, generous, proficient. 1 exceeds. Technical competence, I would say, is an area that I need to improve. And wouldn't disagree with the 1 that felt I need improvement. But from your perspective, what can I do better? Okay. Yeah. Good. Communication skills, articulates ideas clearly and fluently, proficient 80%. One needs improvement. Again, searching for ways to improve. The one concerned with communication skills, what can I do better? Other? Good. Innovativeness, willing to try new approaches and methods. 80% proficient. One unacceptable. Oh, sorry. Exceeds job requirement. That's what we had. There we go. There's one. All right. Innovativeness. All right. We can roll.
Can we go back up to communication?
Can we go back to keep going. All right. Flexibility. Adjust to changes in plans or procedures. Proficient 80% and one needs improvement. Flexibility. What can I do to be more flexible?
I think just in the last couple of years, with what has happened and some of the stuff that's come across. And admittedly, I'm concerned with athletics, is the athletic side of things, how we've been flexible with that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty impressive. It's appreciated.
I think the last 3 years has been trying on just about every district, and I think, with your help and everybody else that we have here, we've done a pretty good job of being very transparent of how we were going to reopen, how we were going to stay open. Plans were changing on a weekly basis, monthly basis, and we had no choice but to be flexible and open to whatever was coming our way because it was new territory for everybody. So we might not have handled it as best as some, but I know we handled it better than a lot of other districts. So, that's you, but it's also, everybody that was a part of our district as well, making those adjustments. But you kind of guided us through all the changes that were coming and where all the other districts stood. So
Teachers, admin,
At least kept us
staff,
informed
yeah,
for
they've
sure.
all been team players for sure, and all of that. Tenacity, seems like that one's all right. Community involvement, participates in community organizations and is aware of community activities. 3 proficient, 1 exceeds, and 1 needs improvement. So from the one that feels I need to improve community involvement, what can I do better? Try to be involved as much as possible, but we'll continue to work on that.
No, nice. As your position, you're held, you're a lot of times the face of the school, as superintendent. And I think, you're very active in as many community events as possible. And I think that shows either the acceptance or the participation, the need for the school district to participate in not just every school activity, but in a lot of community events. As much as anybody wants, they want to be part of every activity, but sometimes you do need to clock in, clock out. Participation wise, you're good, an active member of the community.
I would say the past year, were there any community activities you felt like this that you should have been at?
You can always do better.
Oh, yeah, always.
Yeah, there's
Sometimes there's always that one that just sticks up a little bit higher and just felt like.
I think there's numerous, things that you missed that should have been at, off the top of my head, there's a lot of, you can all, this is an area that everybody can do better. You know, you'd like to be at
It goes back
every
to the-
event and every,
Public relations guys.
You know, I'll throw one out there, sure. You know, the one during non-school year events, you know, of showing even your presence. I know most of those kids would be nice to see your face there. There's even in their cultural community events, they will more of the, maybe not the ceremonial or cultural tie-ins, but language camp, culture camp type scenarios pop your head in that type of community events. I think we go a long way for students.
that'd be better.
I just have, it's kind of, we have a very unique community with the Amish having their own school, and German Baptists, I believe, have their own school or home school. So I don't know if there's any way that we can reach out more to, but they use our facilities sometimes for activities. Is that true?
Yes.
And so that's I guess to have some community involvement with them. I don't know if you're pop in and watch while they're not really, but I don't know if that's.
No, I visit with the folks that come in and sign up, but I don't have a lot of connections. Years ago, I tried to get the Amish to allow us to send a teacher so we could count those kids. And it didn't go very far, and I haven't been back since, but haven't reached out for years.
I don't know how to write communities. Some districts will do that.
Yeah, they were not receptive, but at the time, but definitely can stay in touch with them when we can. Okay. Professional involvement, like that one, didn't have any low marks there. Professional organizations, I will be attending the national conference this year for superintendents, so hope I can bring back nothing worse than a superintendent that goes to a national conference. We'll have new ideas. Reaction to evaluation, 2 proficient, 2 exceed, 1 unacceptable. So accepts praise and constructive criticism gracefully and seeks feedback on personal performance. But what can I do to be more receptive to constructive criticism gracefully?
I don't know too many people that take constructive criticism real gracefully, but just being here tonight, and obviously you are trying to improve your position. You're always trying to improve your job. So as questions have arose in previous questions, you're opening yourself up for whatever comments come your way. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of that's a tough question. I mean, I think you're willing to accept criticism, but I don't know anybody that accepts it gracefully. But I mean, I'm not saying it's unacceptable. I'm just saying that's a personal. Almost everybody doesn't like to be.
Well, anytime you see unacceptable, that needs to be addressed. So again,
No, I'm just saying I like the way you've opened yourself up tonight as far as you're asking for how to improve, and that's my only comment on that.
anything else?
You ever had a criticism that we've presented to you, either just in an office space or even in this setting, that we haven't been able to overcome and work through?
Thank you. Attitude towards job. Displays a positive attitude towards work and willing to spend whatever time necessary to do a good job. 3 exceeds, 1 proficient, and 1 needs improvement. So for the 1 needs improvement, I just need to know how I can display a more positive attitude or examples that I'm not. Anything? Okay, consideration of others. Patient, understanding, caring, and courteous. We got 4 proficient and 1 unacceptable. So again, unacceptable is one I take serious and feel there should be some sort of written documentation of when I'm not considerate to others. But I open it up to the one that said I'm unacceptable of consideration of others.
I saw you be a little short with people at board meetings that I didn't think was acceptable. So that's why I put you down with it. I think you can be a little bit tenacious there. So that to me shouldn't happen at a
Examples.
no, I'm just concerned.
Unacceptable is a pretty concerned word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Some
examples of a situation or.
Not for the public meeting.
Okay. Performance under stress, performs adequately in stressful situations, retaining objectively and self-control. 4 proficient and 1 needs improvement. Again, I open it up to the one that feels I don't perform well under stress. Examples or ways that I can do better.
I just want to comment, at this level of job, it is stress. I mean, at this level of job, it's nothing but stress. I think, your overall performance speaks for itself, that of the way you perform under stress in situations. I just want to put that out.
Professionalism sets standard for all staff to emulate professionalism and school pride. Seems like we're doing okay there. Comments. A few comments. I'll just go through, what's impressive. I don't need to talk about what's impressive. What specific recommendations. Continue to hit seminars. We'll hit the national conference, active planning, moving past ESSER, appreciation of faculty every day, getting out more. Definitely a priority. Emphasis on athletics over disservice to students, parents, community. Negotiation skills. So take those all into consideration. Is there anything else that the board would like to add before finishing up? All of these, just so the board knows, all of these will go into my permanent file, both all individual evaluations of me, as well as the summative evaluation will be added to my personnel file this year. So, so you're aware, evaluations are not a survey. So for legal reasons, personal, professional, etc., I'm going to add all of your evaluations of me into my personnel file this year. And if there's nothing else, we'll close it.
We're open, so we'll just move on.
Okay.
There's not an act. Well, there is an action item. So that's where we're.
Okay. So we've already agreed, the next 2 years have already been settled. For me, like most superintendents, I'm asking for a rolling 3. I'm asking for a 3rd year, for 26, 27 at 0%, no commensurate increase, a flat 0 for the 3rd year for, negotiations for my role, to keep a rolling 3. Year 2, we're in year 2 next year, year 3 the following. Those were settled last year. And I'm asking for 1 more year, 26, 27 at 0% and no commensurate.
So that's the same as your 25, 26 agreed to contract.
Right.
That you would add a 1 year, same amount, 26, 27.
Right. At 0 impact.
Yeah.
I make the motion to approve the superintendent's contract and the budget year for 20, 26, 2027, 0%, commensurate increase.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is there a scale, steps and lanes for administrators? Is that? No, it's just,
We have that for the principals, and I think that you can see that as a practice in other districts. I don't believe that there's one for superintendents generally negotiated, as far as everywhere that I've discussed.
so it's the amount that he's being paid this year will be next year and the next year just the same.
No. No.
This year, next year have already been approved, so it'll be commensurate of what,
The last, the 3rd year, 2025, 2026.
well, whatever we come up with the negotiations is commensurate to, well, I think that's what the principals did for last year and the super. So those have already been decided. So it's commensurate of what we do with the
Certified.
the certified, or yeah. So that negotiation affects, but that's what he said. But that 3rd year, he doesn't.
And I've had a step built in each year. But that's been negotiated already and settled on last year for the next 2 years, plus commensurate. The 3rd year, I'm not asking for any increase or commensurate. But the next 2 years have already been settled last year.
And can we get a dollar amount that your salary is this year?
And if you will be patient. Makes sense. Well,
It's down in my office.
no, it's fine, but I'm not having any luck getting in my life here. Here we go.
So in essence, we're just approving the extension of 1 more year.
Right,
Put
but
it
you,
zero.
what I will be giving you is this year's salary.
I mean, that's what we're approving is 1 more year. Next without increase.
23, 24 admin, Jason Sargent salary amount is currently, and you are good with this being shared, Mr. Sargent?
That's what I want to ask.
I'll be before I say it out loud.
Be transparent.
Okay, very good. That's where I wanted to go with this because it is 128,878.
So if a 3%, that's basically on the base for the certified.
If you look at, I'll answer this one based on our salary scales. From 1 year to the next, there's a 3% increase by adding another year of experience.
So my question was like, if we're a 3%, would it be 3% of 128 would be his raise?
That is what was negotiated, yes, 3% of that.
3%
As a
of
standard.
And the certified basically gets the raise based on the base.
No, they get whatever they made last year. Every year you get a step automatically. So you're making more than the base. You don't just build off the base.
It rolls down, right? So we add, say if we add 1% to the base, that base amount increases, but then every other one increases 1%. And then as they go down, they get a 3%. So if it was a 3% plus a 1% increase to the base, it's not quite 4%, but it is 4 percentage points in increase per experience plus rates. So that's how the scales work.
So 1% would be a $1,280 raise.
And divided by 12 would be $100 in that.
When I started, I was making $1,000 less than I would as a principal the first year. And my goal was to make more than the previous superintendent. I did that last year after 30 years in the district. In 8 years compared to a second year. So I feel I've added steps for 10 years, but I think that's the top.
My only concern is like 3 years, this puts you out 3 years and certified will be negotiating again. More than likely, they're not going to do that. I don't put words in a 3-year deal, so you're already set for your 3rd year.
Right.
Well, just so you know, so last year, or I'm sorry, 2 years ago, we actually negotiated a 2-year contract. That was the first time ever. They usually do a 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to go out further because too many
Too many
things can
unknowns,
happen,
yeah.
too many variables, exactly. So we've offered that, but I understand why they don't do it. So it's not that we won't offer it, they don't. It's just too many unanswered, like you said. So that's we're kind of comparing apples to oranges, but that's why they want an annual, they want a yearly, because when things happen, they want to have some negotiation power. So that's why theirs is a yearly deal. But like I said, we're starting tomorrow. I don't know if they'll up for a 2-year or if they want to go back to 1 year. We'll find out tomorrow or as they proceed. So as far as the certified anyway. So
And I think a year ago, I spoke to the point of not really any benefit to going out the 3rd year, because if he chooses to leave to another, we would never deny that. And it just gives us flexibility to, if we need to make some cuts in 3 years we would have that option to make some cuts. And after tonight, if we vote for this, that ship has sailed. And I don't think it would be fair to the certified staff if that's going on and superintendent still is getting his raise. So that's just my thought against extending the contract.
Say that again for my clarity, please.
Just if we decide to do that, he's going to be guaranteed the raise that happens this year, 3 years down the road. It's a given after tonight.
I think it's already a given. We've already negotiated his 3-year contract a year ago. He's added an extension of 1 more year for a rolling 3 without any
With the raise that's negotiated.
24 and 25. Right?
Yeah, 24, 25 is already negotiated.
Has his 25.
Yes,
Well, 25, 26
26
is not.
And so
And
he's
that's what's
asking
going to be
for an
negotiated.
extension of 1 year without an increase.
But he's going to get the increase that's
Yeah,
negotiated.
we're already in that contract with the increase.
But it's going to be added to this year that we're adding right now.
That's already going to happen.
What we're adding right now is 1 more year with 0 increase.
That wasn't my understanding.
The next 2 years have already been set.
Right, but the third,
The
one that we're
3rd
adding.
year,
Yeah, what we're deciding.
no steps and lanes, no.
The 3rd year
No
matches
increase.
25, 26.
no increase.
Yeah, the 3rd year is 0.
Third year will match the 25, 26 based off of what was,
no commensurate,
No,
flat 0.
based off what was negotiated for 24, 25, 25, 26. Then 3rd year 26, 27 matches 25.
So if it had to be a freeze for certified, he was froze already.
He's froze already in 26, 27.
Okay, any more discussion? Moved and seconded.
It has been moved and
Okay.
seconded. Marion and Tony.
Okay, all those in favor? The opposed, nays, same? Which one are you?
Oh, no, I was,
Aye, okay,
ayes.
and then nay. Okay.
So I thought that one longer than anticipated.
Did we get everybody? We got everybody.
We've got everybody. We are ready to move on to, I believe, reports. Is that what's next?
Yeah, enrollment quickly, pretty consistent as last month, down 7 from last year elementary, up 1 in the middle school, and down 10 from last year in the high school. About the same as last month, so we're ready for reports.
All right, on to SIP. Michelle.
Yeah, I'll make it real quick. There's really nothing except that, you know, you can read, we're doing negotiations, as you know, but the big deal is the insurance that we've been talking about a lot. It's gonna make a big difference to everyone in our district, not just teachers. I was telling Jeff, we invited Amanda Curtis, who's the head of the union for the state Montana Federal Public Employees Union, to one of our meetings. She came ready to present us with this plaque because we turned 50 this last year as a union, and we talked about made her talk about insurance for the entire meeting. There was nothing else on the agenda. And I think because of that, because we are so invested in this situation, they've invited me to have one of the only of the 10 votes that MFPE has at this summit, which is awesome because it's a voice for our district, not just for teachers, because again, it affects all of our school employees to be part of this pool. So I'm excited about that. And thank you, Jason, for allowing me to take those days to go be part of that. So if there are any, additional things that people want to meet here before I go, I'm certainly planning to, be a voice for our school in general at that summit. And we'll hopefully know a lot more about what that pool, the future for that pool after the summit in January. So send me an email if you have anything you want me to bring up. And that's all I have for you.
Will you come back next month and kind of give us an update? 'Cause
I will.
Not
Yeah.
everybody's in negotiation, so just kind of keep. us
Yeah,
updated as far
absolutely.
as-
And insurance is also kind of a separate thing. And so I've been, making sure I've checked in with our insurance people and our, local group, and everyone pretty much has all the same things to say about, the potential for our district for this. But yes, I will fill you in. The big thing now is the big question is, could this be in place for next school year? It doesn't have to be. It could be. It's unlikely, I think, just given the organization efforts. It needs to be in place for the following year if it is going to function. So I'll let you know what I find out. Mm-hmm.
Was it last meeting that the AA schools were really on board?
Well, that's the issue is they have to be, at least some of them, in order to make it happen. Most of the votes are AAs that will be in the meeting. They will be represented. There will be a lot of AAs represented. The meeting is MFPE, but also Montana School Board Association and lots of all the interested parties, right? And so it's just me and Lewistown representing smaller places in Montana. The rest are AAs and, other folks. So, yeah. Cool.
Good
All
luck.
right, that's all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Moves us on to technology, Mr. Nesper.
Not quite. Hi. Nothing big. We had just working on cleaning up infant campus data. We've got a bit of a task force going on that. Gonna try to get all that sort of cleared up and get some better procedures in place for entering data in infant campus for parents and teachers and guardians and students and all that stuff. Moving forward with that. Work in progress. We had a little surge in the last couple months, kind of all around Montana. A lot of our teachers were getting emails, spoof emails, phishing emails from people spoofing other domains. So getting emails from people that are working in Frenchtown or Darby or wherever. Implemented some stuff to try and prevent that from happening to us. Hopefully it's gonna work well. Rooms, we had a rooms training at the high school, middle school on Monday for the teachers, just to answer some of those questions about rooms. Like Sarge said, it is a sort of year-long process getting that rolling in the district. Got a lot of questions answered on Monday, and we're gonna keep working on that. There's a lot of back-end stuff that needs to happen sort of from my end in the setup side, talking to the drill share people to get things where they need to go. And then, of course, trainings with the teachers to get that working correctly. But I think we're well on track to have that rock and rolling by next year. We got maybe an update on copiers. I'll let Adam talk about that if he wants to.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw it right at the superintendent right now. It'll be in my report.
Okay.
It's gonna be in your report.
Okay.
I've got the lease on my desk, so we just have to decide. And we've worked through some financial stuff, so we're right at the, we're down the stretch.
If you want to do info, yeah, I'm just gonna give them an update, but if you guys, anything else to add to it?
No, I mean, it's gonna, I guess, budget neutral. We will have to house our current machines for 6 to 12 months to bring in new machines, but we've worked through some hiccups or obstacles that Mr. Nesper and I have kind of laid out. The company is offering us 6 months, 0 payments, 6 months or 4 months of a rebate, and then they're cutting us a check for the final 2 months to try to get their machines into the building. So they put their best foot forward. It ends up costing us between $500 and $1,000 more for the year based on what their offer was on 2 machines, and that's minimal compared to what it would be to have the buyout.
So what was our repair cost?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have repair costs because they're all
It's built in, but the productivity
buyout
downtime.
to get the machines out of the building was about $25. So this comes in, we have extra machines we won't be using, but this would get us into something that hopefully would support the district.
He's promised us 4-hour response times.
And he won't quit calling me. So
He's kind of bending over backwards to get these things in the building. It's just the 2 big ones. If they work out well, we have the option to move forward with replacing the rest of the district. But I think it's
One real quick question with school being closed late Thursday night, was our mass communication? Does it seem like it went without a hiccup?
great question. So we had a couple of teachers, that sort of ties into the infant campus stuff, making sure all of our data is correct in there. We had some staff members that didn't have phone numbers in, didn't have their communication preferences correctly aligned. So I've been in working on that for 2 days, making sure that that's right. If we had to tomorrow morning, I am confident that it would get out to all the staff members.
There's only one staff member that I know. I was here, one staff member showed up and no students showed up. That's the first time ever that I've never had a student show up. The last year, I think there were 3 students that showed up, and this year there was 0. So that's a W.
Good.
One teacher did show up.
He's a new staff member, just when he got entered into the campus, the demographic info didn't get in there, and that's part of the process we're working on for trying to make that work better. So.
One of the other concerns was like one family would get 5 phone calls. I mean, is that still going on? Or
I think we're doing a lot better. I didn't get any complaints this time,
okay.
I guess.
So I guess that was my
I
question.
got yelled at last year.
Well, no, I mean, there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm saying no one called this year and was upset about it.
That's good. So we're making progress. So that's all.
It's also probably true that people aren't going to call and complain when they just got a snow day.
Yeah.
But no, I think
got to test. I didn't get 3 or 4 phone calls.
didn't
Did
get.
you get?
No, I did not.
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
I
my
was
one
saying.
phone call.
That
My
is.
wife got a phone call.
Yep. That's due to Infinite Campus actually changed the way they handle that. Whenever, in theory, the way it was explained to me, anytime a duplicate phone call or communication would be sent, they just cut it. If that number has already been contacted for this purpose, which made my job an awful.
Mr. Nesper, do you have a credit card with your name on it?
I do indeed.
Let's
That
get
is
that
a
off the
win.
list.
That is a win.
Bucket list right here.
To address another thing that I didn't talk about, then Starlink. I just need to switch the payment over for that. We'll have a conversation about that. Yeah, cool. Anything else? Great, thank you.
AD report, Mr. Grant here.
I don't have anything to add. I just went to the MHSA annual meetings on Sunday and Monday in Bozeman. Nothing too big of changes like we've had in the last couple of years. Last week, everything's usually about the same. We're always kind of arguing of which division we need to go to and should we stay in 3 or stay in 4. But really nothing too crazy this year as far as anything. It's just good to kind of network, learn a few things. And yeah. So yeah, usually the previous last 2 years you've had a lot to cover, but this year not so much. So, yeah.
With the baseball, I'm just curious, are they doing it the same way they did last year?
Yeah, so
Same conferences?
Yeah.
Well, because you're adding teams.
yeah, so Knoxon and T-Falls are co-oping and Garnett is, so they're in our conference
Okay,
now.
because we only had 4.
Yeah, now we have 6 of us now.
6 of us.
Yeah, so I can conference now. So
What was the discussion on having a Native American?
oh yeah.
Um,
So that was part of the proposals. So that passed unanimously, and everything that was there passed unanimously. I think I took like 25 minutes for all the proposals. So what they're going to do is they want to have a representative on the executive board that from a school that's over 50% Native American, either an AD, principal, or superintendent on the executive board. I think just to have just more inclusion. And I asked them about that this summer because that was just one of the topics. I think turning into an executive board role. They didn't really say that this summer. So I think there's 18 schools that qualify for it in the state. So yeah, they'll be choosing next year at the end of the meeting who that is, and what that is. So I'm curious about it, see who they're looking for, what they want to do. I think one of the things that they did talk about was just making sure. I think some of the concerns were just finding people that are invested in those communities. That's not just a one-stop place to another job. I think that was one of the things that we brought up, and so I think they're getting a better idea of what people want to see in that position. So yeah, so next year they'll vote on it. So yeah, so everything else. But yeah, it was a good meeting. So learned a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Elementary, Miss Moore.
All right. Enrollment is down, but we got 2 more kids 3 days ago, so it's back up. It just seems to happen a lot. Attendance is looking really good. We're at 92.85 after break. That was really, really surprising. So exciting about that. Everybody's ready for the 100th day of school coming up on February 5th. That's like our biggest event we have coming up, plus I Love to Read Month. So last year we had a big pie in the face deal. We're probably going to do something similar again. That's the big request I get. So I'll probably be covered in whipped cream, but I also get a request from Mr. Sargent to get pie in the face too. So we might have to talk about that later.
Can we sign up for throwing pies in the face?
Whatever you want.
Buy a pie.
It was
last year.
Whatever you want. Whatever you want. So I'll be sending that out later in a couple weeks. The testing's looking good, above 50%. What I really want to talk about is our DIBELS testing. That's part of our new reading curriculum. So if you scroll down, Mr. Sargent, is it okay if I hop over here? Oh, sorry, Mr. Sargent. So if you look right here, I want to look at 4th grade specifically. So we have this beginning of year and middle of year. So this was taken at the very, very beginning of the year, and this was taken just before we left for break. So what we want to see is we want to see the red and the yellow shrink and the green and blue grow. So here we have like 7 kids right here were below the benchmark. Then right here, sorry, 12 kids were below the benchmark. Then we had very below. Then we had below the benchmark, and then we have at benchmark and above benchmark. If you can look here, how this yellow has shrunk and this green has grown and the blue has grown compared to the beginning of the year. That just shows that our reading curriculum is working. The little kids, theirs is still growing, but it's very slow. They have about 6 tests to take, right? Because they're learning to read, unlike the older kids who are already reading.
And so this is really, really good stuff. I'm really proud of the kids. You can see in like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, it's just clicking from where they started to where they are now. I mean, look at how many of the kids in 4th grade are already above level. Look at 5th grade, 3rd grade. How many kids went from being below level to at level? I mean, it's really working. It's great stuff. So thank you for approving the purchase of the reading curriculum. I mean, we're hoping for our state testing, it really pays off, but it's working and we couldn't be more thrilled. To save
Great
this,
work.
what?
Great work.
Thank you. But the teachers, they're the ones who are doing the great work and they're using it, and that's, we're all on the same page and it's fantastic. Behavior is down, and for the sake of time, if it's okay, I'll let you guys look through the rest. The pictures really tell the story. I don't feel like I have to elaborate, but if you would like me to, I will. Thank you.
On the middle school, high school, Mr. Hendrickson.
Numbers are there. Attendance is there, a little bit down, a little bit up from previous month. Let's see, referrals up a little bit in the middle school. High school stayed the same. So, 0 discipline this year. It's a nice thing to say. In August and in January. Finals week was last week. Because of Friday, we sort of push everything back a little bit. Just because that was our makeup day. That was also we have moved ahead our senior project schedule to end that first semester instead of carrying it into spring, because the last few years we just run into so much stuff in the spring. It's just you guys know how crazy it is. We just thought that it would be our students would be better served if we try to get it done in the first semester and change some things up. So we had that today. So we got everybody, all but 2 done today, and some were done early last week. So that's been good. Huge. We'll just keep reevaluating that and making sure we're doing what's best for kids and always tweaking senior project to try and make it, fit with the times and moving forward and stuff we see. But huge thanks to Ms. East for she took that over when Mr. Marchant retired, and her and Mr. Lawrence worked on it basically all summer, and Ms. Redmond and myself input here, but they did the most of the work. Just fine tuning that. So again, thanks to them. Let's see. We had FAFSA night tonight, so our seniors getting the financial aid stuff taken care of. Mr. Pule put that on, catered the event, like we mostly do with all those type of events. Pretty good turnout, so it was it's good. We changed some things up this year. It's not like it used to be, changing dates. It opened on New Year's Eve at 9 p.m. It's just random stuff, right? But so trying to get everybody to work through that who are planning on moving on or doing schooling after. So we got Top Dog Q2 assembly next Friday. Middle school is this Friday. We had Academic Bowl in Charlotte last week, and then we had Academic Bowl hosting here, I think, next Wednesday. And that'll be in the new gym. See Just Desserts tomorrow in the middle school, and honoring students for doing good and making steps or improving. That's it.
Thank you. And that puts us on to district office, Mr. Surgeon.
Okay, I'm sure everybody's heard way too much from me already, but let me just run through just quickly. Comprehensive needs assessment. We're getting that done. A 5-year plan, our annual goals, our school finance, all those expectations are in place. I think we're gonna be fine doing what we have been doing. We're gonna be able to crush the comprehensive needs assessment. Got to get some surveys back from the state. Again, the transition to the new gym, we'll make a goal to get that done before fall sports next year. Coke contract is up. You guys open the bids for that. I do the school law. Dixon will not be able to join us as a feeder school. We'd have to have permission from, they would have to have permission from Charlotte and Dixon, and I don't believe they have that. So that whole idea is in shop. So that's not gonna happen. So if that one's done. Open enrollment bill. This is the one where all the Valley superintendents we met talked about what it's going to mean to local taxpayers. It's going to talk, it is going to cost local taxpayers for every student that moves in and out of every district. And we have to have a cutoff date, and we've all agreed to have a soft goal of June, like we've always done for our out-of-district students, and a hard date of September 1st. So we won't accept any out-of-district students after September 1st. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, with that, if you accept any out-of-district outside of that, you won't be able to stick to any class load, special ed, all of the extenuating circumstances. Homeless, obviously, will still be able to take those students, but it will change for out of district, where there's a hard date now that students won't be able to travel during the school year. And all districts have agreed to that. Of course, Two Eagle will still be, they're not accountable to the same rules we are. So students could still transfer from here to Two Eagle, but they will not be able to transfer to other districts. So that's something new, just so you know. There's the hard law, if you want to read it, about out of district. Without ESSER, talking about facility budget needs, the shop addition, we agreed on that. Negotiations start tomorrow. AC in the old gym, elementary cabinets. Jacob got us. I was still waiting on this when I wrote the report, the engineering costs. We got a new bus. We used the heck out of our white bus. We got another white bus. You've probably seen it down at Stewart's, getting new tires, new rear view mirror, which is done. I'll pick it up tomorrow. So we'll have one new bus that we were able to add into a grant. So it didn't cost us any impact aid money. And we still have quite a bit in that grant to spend to offset parent costs and student costs. Large percent of it has to be spent on that, which fit wonderfully with the bus. So early literacy plan, we got to get that done. It can no longer be transitional kindergarten. It's now going to be early literacy. OPI continues to lose staff. Jack O'Connor has gone private. We'll be working with him. Copying machines. We've got a proposal that will enable us to trade out the two main printers. And we've had breakdowns in both buildings for the last month, right?
Oh, all year, just all year.
And almost weekly. So it's time, and we can do it without any cost to the district. So we are moving that way to replace copy machines. I know it's been a real strain on teachers and trying to get things copied. I did hear from a couple teachers that they were forced to do online assessments for their semester tests, and some of them, sometimes were being forced to not be able to copy, liked it, and so are going to continue to use online assessments and be able to update those. So that's one positive, but for the most part, copy machines have been a a real negative. Principals are helping me with the CRDC report. It's a federal report that's keeping us all super busy. Negotiations. We're still looking for the possibility of daycare with a third party running a daycare here at school. It won't cost the district a dime other than space. And there's no proposal at this point. We're just still trying to find ways to do that. Safety committee met, came up with some great ideas. We'll look at those, change in policy. The board would have to approve those before we do anything, but safety committee met, did that. E-bus, Jeff Smith dropped that. Financial literacy, new requirement for the state. 19 years ago, I couldn't even get this class accredited. It was a graduation requirement for St. Ignatius 19 years ago. We created it when I was a high school principal, and I couldn't even get the state to accept it as a course offering. And 19 years later, it's now a requirement. So we were ahead of this one by 19 years. Let's see, Montana. Oh yeah, okay. Both recording, both audio, visual has to be posted within 5 days. It'll remain on the website for 1 year. Montana Health Insurance Summit. Caitlin Shellman will be representing. I sit on 2 boards, both SAM and MQEC at the state level. They will have representatives there, so I will not be attending that, but I think it's a great opportunity to get the health insurance initiative off the ground and rolling. Here's some of the information on health insurance included in this, some of the questions we had, just to give you an idea of what they're going to be trying to work on. Those are all the questions that they're going to try to get answered in the report here. I'll be attending the national conference, superintendent annual review this month. St. Ignatius out of district count. This is how many students we have in our district from other places. Give you an idea of how many students come to our school from other school districts. And I don't have a count of how many of our students go to other districts, but we will have a plan to get that all organized, because next year, in and out will all be charged taxpayers' money for every student that transfers to another district. We're going to have to pay with permissive mills to whatever school those students attend. And that bill will come next year after this year. So after next year, then following the year, we will bill each other. And the first bill is due in like December, second bill later on. But it's all going to be a whole lot of trading of dollars for our school districts. So that's very quick, but I know we've been here a long time. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Wait. Oh,
So
sorry.
just one thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say before.
The tax trade-off is tomorrow, that companies and individuals can donate to schools
Oh, the
and get a dollar for dollar. 2 years ago, it was 1 million. Year before that was 2, now it's 5 million. So it seems like that trend, are they talking about that? As
We
far
don't have
as-
a lot of contributors for that, but yeah, it's open. I mean, if we had someone willing to give us those dollars, Polson, I'm sure deals with it.
Cause it's,
on a much
as
higher
far as
scale.
them, I mean, either they're gonna give it to Uncle Sam or they're gonna give it to.
Right. Isn't it competitive? It's $5 million for the state, right? So you have to get in as of the first dates and try to get,
And it goes
that-
fast.
and it goes fast. So as of the opening day, we had 0 financial donors that were interested in that, but it is something that looks like it's going that
I'm
way.
just curious if there's gonna be a report of where it all went.
It moved.
Probably is that.
There's gonna be, but it's not on our radar because
And I'm wondering if
It's
the
not
charter
happening.
schools are gonna start.
I do have
Some of that.
I had an email today. Man, we haven't followed because we didn't have any money, but I did get an email on the competitive dollars and dollar amounts. I'll try to find that. I looked at it quickly today, but
It'll be interesting to see where it all goes. to me anyway.
Yeah, if there's anything in there, I'll definitely pass it along. Meaningful information about that, but I know Polson gets a lot of, well, a lot of schools. There's
A lot of
different
it,
places,
like,
depending on where you are, they get a lot
and
of
building
donations.
centrals and,
Yeah.
You want me to
donating
down?
anyway.
Put your name down?
Yeah. Gotta get my taxes done first.
Okay, anybody else? All right, meeting adjourned.
9 o'clock on the dot.
Harry's already out the door.